Welcome to the wrap-up video for Zentangle Project Pack No.21. My name is Rick.
Hi, I'm Maria, and Molly is here with us, and she's going to show us how to finish Project Pack 21.
Very exciting. It went by very fast, I feel like. We just breezed through those. And we are going to share with you how to sew up these books, but I do want to let you know that you have extra templates in your project packs. So if you want to keep creating and create more pages, you may wait to sew up your book till later, which I would think would be also very exciting. So watch and kind of take in how this is done, and then you can sew yours up at your own pace, of course. This is a very old technique that we've kind of adapted for our project pack. So, Rick, what did you say was the term for this?
So I looked it up online, and what I found was it's called Japanese 4-hole binding.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and I had this book in the library, and that's a sample of that. It's just an absolutely beautiful book.
It is beautiful.
Very, very cool. And as you can see, it's almost like very similar to the way we had our templates drilled out for you. So we have these holes in there. So beautiful book, and beautiful the way it's bound. I actually really appreciate this. And I did a bunch of bookbinding in college and had learned this technique then too, but did not hang on to what the title was for it. So I think that's pretty exciting. I have my materials here. A couple extra materials that you might want to have with you for this process would be a pair of scissors, and then maybe some little mini binder clips, or paper clips would work well, as we're going to use paper clips. So those just help with the process. So if you have those, that would be great. And then the items that are in our project pack would be the bookbinding string, which is like a waxed linen. It's beautiful. And then the label, which is so cool. And I have taken it upon myself to already finish the label for us. But you would, of course, want to take your label and make it yours. I think it's much easier to tangle it when it's not attached to the book. So right. I do recommend that. So we have one here that I've done to kind of match the look and feel with how we tangled the inside of ours.
That's really pretty.
And you would, of course, put your own name there, of course, or your botanist name.
As the artist,
yes.
And the illustrator.
Exactly, yeah. So that's something you're going to want to take care of. And then there's this piece of adhesive that we're going to need here, so I'll just put that aside. And I'm going to put my label aside. And then, of course, you're going to need all of your pages and the piece of chipboard that goes underneath it. And as I said before, I'm going to use a couple of paper clips, big paper clips, to clip them together so they're all lined up.
And it also just makes it easier to handle.
Exactly, yeah. So I have that all clipped together. I guess you could put a third one on there if you wanted to, but I think that's good. And you can see all my holes are all lined up and ready to go. So that's exciting. I put mine in the order that we did them, but you can put them in any order you like. There's no right.
Right, and there's extra pages in there, so we did 8. You may do more than 8.
Exactly, yeah. Super cool. And then, of course, the envelope that we reminded you many times not to throw away or touch, because we're going to use this as the cover of our booklet, or whatever it is you want to call it. So the first thing I invite you to do is take your pair of scissors, and we're basically going to cut this, I think it's called a gusset, off. So we're going to cut that off on both sides. So I'm just going to simply take my scissors and go right along the edge here. And Rick's microphones make this sound like very dramatic.
Right.
Like I'm like listening to this, and I'm like, oh, this sounds like the most dramatic cutting that's ever happened. Yeah, and the end part.
You can trim it afterwards too. Yeah.
There we go. That wasn't too bad.
No.
And the first one is actually the hardest, and then it gets easier. I wanted to trim off that little piece. Okay. So we do that. And then you can trim all 4 sides.
So this is really like making use of packaging here. We're not going to
right?
throw any of this
nothing
away,
away.
hardly.
Right. And then another way to do it if you want is easier if you want to just like roughly cut the middle and then go back and trim it.
Then it's not as awkward.
Yeah, that's another way
I like
to do
that
it.
idea.
So, because it opens up and then you could trim it. So, flatten them out. And,
That's much easier.
yeah. Either way works. And you can throw away those pieces.
Those really?
I
'Cause
bet you
can
we could
tangle
use
them or
some, use them
something.
for
Yeah.
something.
Oh, yeah, somebody will. Challenge, right?
They'd make great little hollowbar elements, and
Oh,
you could
right.
like paste them to the cover, and, right?
Dimensional, right? Paste. Do people still use paste, Rick?
You could probably use Mod Podge, right?
There you go. And I'm just actually gonna do it from this side. I think I can see it better. And gonna try to trim this off a little bit.
Oh, where the fold is?
Yeah, but I know it doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. So you want to clean up your workspace. You should have something like this. I always like to go back over with my nail and kind of.
One of the things that does is it takes that really sharp edge off a piece of paper where you can paper cuts,
Yeah.
especially on stuff like this.
Oh yeah, I guess if you wanted to be like sort of crafty, you could like round the corners a little bit if you wanted to.
I love rounding corners.
Do
We
you like
round.
that? We have
In
a
case you can't tell, everything that leaves this place is rounded corners, and Rick just loves to
We have a corner rounder, and like
Yeah.
all of our certificates for a seminar or some of our mailings, that's always, it just softens the edge, and it echoes the sense of all of our tiles have these rounded corners as well.
Well, I did that for you, Ricky.
Right. So what Molly's referring to is when we first did our tiles, we had just cut them in squares, and Molly and Nick were living with us, and she did the laundry, and some of the tiles were in my jeans, and they came out with these beautiful deckled edges and rounded corners, and it was like, okay. She was a product manager before
I'm really
we
not
knew.
surprised as much as the fact that you had jeans on. You never wear jeans.
Right. But now that you think of it, she was designing products by accident.
I know.
Right.
All right, we have our cover all ready to go, so we can put that aside. Now we're going to take our inner pages here, and as we said, we put them those paper clips on here, which was a nice way to keep them all together. And I might actually have to take one of them off in a second here to show you guys something. We are going to begin our sewing here, and as Rick said, you can look up Japanese for
Four-hole
four-hole
binding, I think.
Yeah. So the way you want to start this is a little trick to hold the knot. We're going to actually flip up our pages so that you can see in between the chipboard and the last page. And I am going to stick my thread right through the second hole, not hole number 2. And I'm going to pull out like 4 or 5 inches. And then I'm going to close it back up. And then I'm going to put the paper clip back over it.
Over the string?
Yeah, because I think it'll hold on to it a little
Okay,
bit,
great.
and it'll kind of seal things. So you kind of have a string coming out of the second hole like so. This would definitely be one of those things you want to watch.
Yeah, watch a
Right.
couple of times maybe.
Yeah. So we're going to take our string, and the holes are so big we don't need a needle, which is nice. So we can just kind of stick this nice stiff linen right through. So coming from the bottom, I'm going to go back through the same hole again. And you want to pull it taut, but not too tight, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Taut, but not too tight. Then I'm going to go to the next hole, and I'm going to go down through the top. Taut, but not too tight, because you don't want to rip your paper. And I'm going to go again through that same hole in the same direction we just did.
Is it like a blanket stitch? It's sort
No,
of-
it's a little different. You
Yeah?
just keep watching, yeah, because now a little bit different. Then we're going to come through the next hole through the bottom. And then go through again. And then we'll go through the top this time. So it's every other system. Go through again. There's so many different really cool book bindings to research. I highly recommend them all. So this time we go, so the trick is that whatever you're leaving off on, you want to go, that's how you know what direction to come in on the next one. And every hole gets gone through twice on the journey.
And when I was looking this up online, there's all these different patterns that they punch holes in. So you can like really get into, from a Zentangle perspective, creating different patterns with where the holes are placed and then how the stitching goes in. And it's this really nice cross-pollination of different types of patterns.
And feel free to watch other tutorials too. If you're interested in this and you want to kind of learn more, you might just take it all in before you do yours. So we ended at the bottom here, so I'm going to go to the next one through the bottom. We wanted to cut these holes big enough so that you didn't have to
Need a needle?
need a needle,
Right.
and we picked a nice stiff thread, so. Or your readers, right? Maybe you still need those. And you can always like cut the little tip off your thread if you feel like it's losing its. So like I said, you want to pull it taut, but not too tight. And then once we get to the corner, this is a little detail. We're going to do this, and you could see it. I'm going to actually pull this book so you can see where the edges, actually, the string goes around the corner, which is a cool detail. So we're going to do that too. So going around the corner. Just carefully guide the string so we get something like that, which is cool. So now we're going to do the same thing in the other direction, and because we have an even amount of holes, it allows us to go every other in the other direction. So we're going to go around again. So there should be 2 layers of thread there. Now we're going to go down this hole. Just take your time, maybe kind of taking your fingers to sort of move the threads around, squeeze them here and there.
It's like adding love to a tile.
Oh,
Right?
right? Totally. Yeah. Flip it if you need to. And like I said, you might have more pages than me at this point. My tip was getting a little frayed, so you can just kind of twist it together. You'll feel the wax on it, which is helpful.
It's mesmerizing to watch. It's like I'm watching somebody paint a fence.
Right?
Or tangle.
Or tangle.
Or
yeah.
dangle, right? So we're going to go over here and back. So this is the bit I'm going to want you to pay attention to.
I kept worrying about is the string going to be long enough.
I was having the
and I'm
same
thinking,
thing.
I'm
We're
sure
going to have to
Molly
do this
measured
over
it
again.
10 times.
Well, I mean, everybody has the same piece of string. So,
Right.
I mean, maybe you don't want to leave as much as I did there, I guess. Yeah, we go in this way. Remember which way directions I'm going. So we go around the corner, like we did on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, kind of pull it taut, but not too tight. And then we're going to come back through here. And actually, this is where this last one, I'm going to pull that out again. I'm going to pull it through.
Do you want to take the other clip out?
I don't think so.
No?
I think I'm going to pull it through, and you kind of have to, this is a little bit of the tricky part. So it's the last one to pull it up so that it can join our other one.
You want to snip it?
I think we're good. Yeah, maybe I will snip it a little bit on the end here. So you might, if yours starts to fray like mine did, and then pull up that last sheet, and there we go. Okay, so.
Right, so it's gone between the same sheets that the first one went through.
Now I'll pull off that. So I have 2 strings here coming out from the first and second holes. You want to make sure everything's lined up how you want it. And then you'll tie those 2 off. Sorry, it's probably hard to see under the camera, but. Okay, thank you, Mom. I have helpers here. And I'm just going to do a regular 2 knots. And you want to pull it taut, but not too tight. And first I'm going to press it back in. And then you can trim off your extra string. See, we had just enough, Rick.
That's perfect.
I know. We did test it. So.
That looks awesome.
So in the beginning, you don't want to leave too much extra string because there's actually just enough to have. So that's what we have. It's very pretty.
It's gorgeous.
Yes. All right. So the next step, we have our, and like I said, you might watch that again or watch somebody else's tutorial if that is helpful. And the idea here is that this is our booklet here. And we are going to have this be our cover where the Project Pack part is. And open it up and have this in here, okay? And so we have that beautiful piece of chipboard and then kind of flaps like this, okay? And then we'll be able to view it the other way, obvious. So we have this nice chipboard and we have this very cool paper here.
Like a double-faced?
Yep. And of course I'm gonna be doing this on camera, so we'll see how I do. Oh, I found it right away.
Oh, wow.
Very cool. We use this in Project Pack number...
With the photographs and everything,
yeah.
right?
I'm going to do mine in one big hunk, but if you're so inclined, you could cut this into pieces and put them closer to the edge. But just for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to do it in one. But I do suggest you might want to put it closer to the edges, and this can be cut up and used as like separate pieces. Yeah, we use this with our cartouche.
Cartouche.
So you want to kind of soften it. And then, can you see how that leaves, you can see it under the camera.
You can?
Yes, you can. It's very cool. This is actually, this stuff's awesome. We've used it a bunch. It's like the best, yeah. So you're going to have to eyeball it and see where you want to have it. The seam is this middle seam right here. So I'm going to, I think I'm going to match mine up. I'll do it right there. It's up to you where you want to. Looks pretty good. So that's cool.
And if you wanted to really press it, you could lift up the pages and then just push hard on the chipboard.
Right? And then you want to carefully maybe like introduce how it's going to fold, you know, just kind of play around with
Oh,
it.
it looks so pretty.
Look at those.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay, so that's neat. And then I'm going to close it up, which is very neat. And then I'm going to put our cover on it. So this fits right over.
Does it go
Project
in that
Pack.
direction?
Well, you want to put it this way? I think.
Well, because the book goes that way.
Okay, we can do it that way.
But it reads the
But
other way.
either
Oh, I see.
way-
Yeah,
Either
you could
way.
do it.
Either
So
way.
you get to put it whichever way you like it.
Okay. But it sounded like Mom wanted it this way.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, Mom always has to get her 2
Very
cents
cool. And I'm just going to eyeball it, see where that fits. Nice label. And depending on, you want to be careful you don't smudge any of your, but get it on there good. Oh,
in. Ooh,
Looks like, did
okay.
you use some Mod Podge on that?
I didn't, but I could.
There's something that's like shiny.
That's
from
probably a
over
good
here.
idea.
I think I burnished it a little bit
Oh,
with
okay.
the tortillon, but a Mod Podge would be very
Right.
cool on there. I like that idea. Right?
Yeah, because you're handling it.
Yeah. So there's our book. It's really
Congratulations.
cool.
It's
I'm like-
beautiful.
I'm
It's
like,
beautiful,
open it up.
beautiful.
I'm a little emotional, actually. It's really nice.
You've worked a long time on this.
Well, I would say that we've all worked a lot
Yeah.
on this. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. So
Day 1, day 2, day
Like
3,
fireworks. One is better than the
I
next.
forgot about the
day
squid. out.
4,
Very cool.
day 5, day 6, day 7, and day 8.
Very cool.
Well, just wanted to say that I don't know if you mentioned this at the beginning or not, but when we designed these botanical illustrations, they were made out of tangles. They weren't a flower that was drawn and filled with tangles. They were made out of existing tangles, and I thought that was a really cool kind of idea.
Yeah, and I actually just have some of these. I couldn't find all of them in quickly.
the
when we were, but
prototypes?
it's just some of the prototypes that we had. I know everybody likes to see these when we're kind of working through ideas, like what happens in our process. And these were just some of them that were laying around the studio that, I mean, we pulled from, and maybe some of them we didn't even use.
Or parts of them.
Yeah, so our processes go in a lot of different directions. And this was here. It must have been this is from an old event we did. I thought
Yeah.
that was a cool one with the Tucker.
And these are prototypes that didn't get used, right?
These are probably ones that we used and then we ended up doing again just for like how we kind of went through our process. This was that one didn't get used. It's so cool. The bleeding toodles, yeah. This is a very cool one. The winged fiddlehead, yeah. So another versions of these as we kind of played around. This is another variation of some stuff.
So you have extra pages, and if you want
Right.
to go on, you can just
Yeah.
look at any one of those and figure it out. You
Yeah.
use your intuition and your knowledge of Zentangle and how it goes together.
And
Yeah.
or just go through the different tangles and say, well, what if this one met that one, and what would the flower
Or I
look
like this part of this one and this
Yeah.
part of that one, or even just make the whole thing up yourself.
I
Yeah.
know, right? Well, we have some challenges ahead for you all on this theme, and we're looking forward to sharing those with you.
I
so
can't wait to see these.
I know.
Right.
So thanks for joining us, and please share your finished results with us. We can't wait to see them.
Enjoy.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.